Hey friends, this is Coalescent Current, and this is a cable that I like and I know that I like before actually unpacking it. And if you want to have a recommendation on what cable to buy, maybe it's that, but better stay till the end. And the reason I actually know already that I like it is not only the fact that it says 7-color breathing lamp or liquid silicon with a skin-friendly feel, but that's a plus, but due to the fact that on the backside it actually says what kind of cable it is and what kind of currents it can do and what kind of voltages. So it says this is a 240 watt cable. It can also do 100, 85, 60, 45, whatever. It does 48 volts at 5 amps, so that's multiplied together 240 watts. It is at a nominal length of 150 centimeters, so 1.5 meters, and it can do 480 megabits per second data speed, so it's USB 2 cable. And that's something that only a really tiny amount of cables feature a certain and clear definition of what the cable can do, what kind of charging currents, charging voltages, as well as the data transmission speed. Most of them write something on, oftentimes it's wrong, but with this I'm quite sure that they actually put in the time to make that correct. And I bought the green one, so there are also other different colors, and I'm not sure what liquid silicon is, but we're going to see in a second. So I'm quite sure that the packaging would say even more than that, but unfortunately I cannot speak Chinese, so we have to find out on our own. And yes, I mean, that definitely is a green cable, so if you want to see any kind of definition of green, that's it. Let me get in a bit more light. It gets even greener with more light. So that definitely is a green cable, and it definitely feels good. So that is a silicon cable, and they even put little sleeves over the connectors. So that's a premium feel. And the connectors themselves also are made out of metal and have 240 watts engraved into them, but nothing else. So that's a bit of a downside. They only put in the power rating, but not the data speed. It would have been nice to put in USB 2 or 480 megabits or 0.48 gigabits per second, so that we immediately know what kind of data transmission we can expect. But for the rest, I mean, the cable is quite thick, quite rigid, and still feels really flexible to the silicon, being just nice to touch, to be honest. And yeah, so there is a bit of strain relief, and I can pull it like that, and you can even see a bit inside the connector, maybe not. So it should hold up for quite a while and be useful as a cable. The only downside I could think of is the thickness of this connector itself. So if you have a protruding phone case or some protective sleeve, it may happen that you cannot fully plug in the connector itself. But yeah, so I do have to touch it. I'm really sorry, but let's test it and see if the manufacturer is actually correct about its assessment of the 240 watt and 480 megabits per second or USB 2 speeds. And yes, they are. So 250 watts, that's the nominal cable rating of 50 volts times 5 amps, but you can only do 48. And the connector itself, oh wow, look at that. It has color inside both of the connectors, and the tester makes it flickery, but I'm quite sure that in normal use it will just light up, and we're going to take a look at it later. But before that, let's finish the cable specs themselves. The cable is at 100% cable health, so the conductors inside are of enough thickness. The material is correct, probably copper, and the contact plating is gold, most certainly, which means that the cable health is at 100%. Everything is fine in the cable, and the resistance is good enough to transmit the full, let's take a look, 5 amps of current. Yes. So yeah, they were correct. It's a USB 2 cable, and it can go up to 48 volts at 5 amps, so 240 watts. And they actually feature both connectors, CC1 and CC2. This is due to the fact that for cables above 60 watts of nominal power rating, you need to have a so-called eMarker, an integrated circuit inside one of the connectors of the cable that can actually talk to the devices you connected. And you need both lines. One of them is used as a supply voltage, and one of them is used as a communication rail, and it's then only called CC line to transmit data back and forth between your cable, your phone, your cable, your charger, and your phone. So all of the connected devices can talk to each other and ask for the capabilities of each element. And if we take a look at the details, we can see that besides the required VBus ground D+ and D-, as well as CC1 and CC2, which is used for communication, they also connected shield. So this cable is either shielded or they just connected the pins inside the connector, which we are not going to find out without cutting it open. But if this cable is in any way like its packaging and its feel, then there definitely is shield inside, which makes it more immune against electromagnetic interferences or against anything other going on while transmitting data. The VBus resistance is at 130 milliohm, which is not too low, but still okay. And what we can see is that there is an eMarker inside, so it says it's a passive cable, so there's no active electronics inside, and the vendor is 000, so that means that the manufacturer of this cable didn't actually pay for a vendor ID, which you would theoretically have to do if you want to bring out a USB-C cable according to the specifications. And if you pay for a vendor ID, then you will get one, and they obviously didn't. So they just put in 000 in there. But they at least said, yeah, it's a 50 volt cable, so you can do 48 volts, and it will withstand 50 volts at 5 amps. It can do USB 2 speeds, and the latency is between 10 and 20 nanoseconds, so around 2 meters, which makes sense because it's a 1.5 meter cable. And then again, they use the fields for hardware and software revision for 0000. So either it's the first hard and software revision, or they just didn't bother to fill in anything in there. And this means that this cable is quite interesting, and I'm definitely going to use it practically to charge my laptop, because I've always been looking for a cable of moderate length that can charge with a power of, I don't know, I think my laptop does 120 watts or 135 nominally. So that's definitely something I'm going to use. But if you have any questions, just put them in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe if you're actually interested in the content that I'm creating, or even click on the YouTube Premium membership if you want to support this and see more cables like that. Thanks. Hey, it's back to me. I almost forgot to show you the LEDs that are integrated into the connectors. So I'm going to turn off the light and wait for the camera to adjust for the decreased surrounding colors. And those initially started with the same color, but they kind of mix, so it seems that they are not perfectly in sync, but they look really nice nonetheless, and I'm quite sure that they just included one of those fading RGB LEDs in each connector, but still a nice idea, so thanks.